Dawn of eternity, arising, is the first. It is the beginning. It is the seed of it all. It is a story that started a long time ago, and perhaps, like the vampire, has an immortal soul that will live forever. It is the story of friends fighting against true darkness, a tale that seeks to invert the ideas of good and evil, and reconnect with the magic and the world we have forgotten. Van Morg, an orphan raised by those who now seek to dominate all life on Earth, is given the chance to be the person he always knew he was. Something which his soul has always held on to. However, a deeper truth will begin to quickly unravel as unexpected allies must see reason to stand side by side. In Rising, we witness the start of a journey that will not only take the main characters, but the friends they make in the process, into the darkness that is growing upon the world. The Feruthers. It is in this new struggle that Morg finds himself, fighting to learn who he has become and who he must be, by choice or destiny. Dawn of Eternity, really interesting book. So this book sort of takes the idea of the vampire being the bad guy and turns it on its head. Van Morg is a vampire / creature hunter who is working with the organization called the Feruthers, or I suppose it's sort of like Vatican type thing, not sure. And he has worked with them all his life. He was basically raised by them to go and hunt these creatures that are perceived as evil. And many of them are sort of more base creatures, very much beast type, bestial, difficult, dangerous, that sort of a thing. But then there are the few, like Vladimir and Tanith and Clor and others, who aren't like that, who are more in tune with their soul, who are almost more human than otherwise. They just happen to be vampires. And so Morg is brought into this world, and he has to figure out what this new reality means and what it is like to go back on everything that he thought he knew and to face this new evil that is trying its very best to take over the world. And it's very interesting. As the description said, it sort of explores the nature of good versus evil, and it does so in the subverting of the traditional evil vampire trope. It's even more than you would expect. A lot of the times when you see that trope subverted, it's because, well, it's often in paranormal romance that you see that trope subverted, and if it's not in that way, then it's usually they're just misunderstood, but the nature is much the same, or something like that. And so this was different, and I liked it. As far as the story goes, I think it was very interesting. There's a lot going on, but it is well explained, except for one thing. The prose itself, extremely stylistic, done in the style of the Gothic novel. Very much fun to read, absolutely beautiful use of language, but every now and again that language sort of overwhelms the plot a touch, and what is happening and how it feels in that particular moment becomes almost more important than what's going on. So there are a couple of little details that are kind of essential to the plot that get a little bit lost. However, honestly, I loved the language. It was done so well. And oh yeah, okay, you don't often read books like that anymore. This is definitely an older style of writing, not classic fantasy trope. This is Gothic fantasy trope, which is our fantasy style writing, which is earlier and also different. It can be a little bit hard to follow if you're not used to the subtle manipulation of language, which I love and I adore so very much. So it does take a little bit more to get into, but oh my gosh, it's absolutely worth it. It's just great. I think the characters are well done. I think they sort of take a back seat. Their development, at least, it takes a little bit of a back seat to the plot, which I understand because the plot is kind of important. But I'd love to know a little bit more about the individual personality of each character, not so much as it is shown in the novel. I think it's shown well, and he's sort of, and you know, you see how they react to various situations, but there's just a little bit more that could be done, I think, with that. Again, with the language, there's just so much going on there, and I enjoy it a lot, but I think you lose some of that essential nature of the characters to the symbolism and metaphor and sort of interwoven nature of the language. That doesn't mean I don't like the characters. I really do. I think they're very interesting. I would like to see Morg struggle a little bit more with his background and his current reality, but I think that comes next in the series, in the next book. This is more, well, it's setting up the end of things as they know it. It's, yeah, it's very interesting. And so I like it, I do, and honestly, really, I enjoy the language a lot. There's so much there, and good writing for me counts for a good deal. So I would absolutely give this book a read. I highly recommend it. If you are interested in tropes being subverted, if you're interested in the traditional struggle between good and evil done in an interesting new way, I would absolutely recommend this book. I would say even if you're not really super keen on the intricacies of language, give this a try anyways, because it just adds so much depth to the story and to the ideas that are being examined. Yeah, so if you're interested in this book, as usual, all the links are in the description box below. You can find the book there, you can find the author's information there, and you can also find my links there. That's pretty much all I've got for you today. I hope that everything is going well. We'll see. If you are a little bit bored after being stuck at home for a while, I would say give this book a read. It's really interesting and I like it. And that's all I've got for you today. I will see you next time.